now let's talk about another segment I put together here. I was thinking about this as the game was winding down, and Rich Gannon had made some good comments where the preseason doesn't necessarily matter, but you need to show more than the Packers have been showing. And it got me wondering, does the preseason matter? You've heard it for years that it doesn't matter and you shouldn't look at it, and you always get the person right away saying, oh, well, the preseason doesn't matter because in 2008 the Lions won 4 games, and then they lost every one in the regular season, so therefore the preseason doesn't matter. But either way, I did go look into the stats here. And I went back just for the Green Bay Packers since 1978. And the reason I chose that is that was the first year of the 16-game regular season, 4 preseason game format. That's 34 seasons, so it's a pretty big sample size. I'll just go over these numbers real quick, and then I'll ask for your reaction. They've gone undefeated only twice in the preseason. Once was in 1997. They went 5-0, including the American Bowl. Of course, they went 13-3 and went all the way to Super Bowl 32 before losing to the Denver Broncos. Their other time they went undefeated was in 1999 when they were 4-0 under Ray Rhodes. Of course, then went only 8-8 in the regular season and missed out on the playoffs. So a little bit inconsistent with numbers there for undefeated, but very small sample size. Now we're getting into some of the bigger sample sizes. When the Packers win 3 preseason games, it's happened 9 times since 1978. 6 of those 9 teams have gone on to the playoffs. In the playoffs, 4 of those teams reached the divisional round, 2 reached the NFC Championship game, and the 1996 team won the Super Bowl. 7 of the 9 teams had winning records. This is the 6 playoff teams and the 1989 10-6 team that lost the division on a tiebreaker. Only 1 of the 9 had a losing record, and that was the 1979 Packers that went 3-1 and then 5-11 in the regular season. But 8 of the 9, that's 88%, had a 500 or better record. When the Packers win just 2 preseason games, it's happened 10 times since 1978. 6 of those 10 made the playoffs. 5 of those teams reached the divisional round, 2 reached the NFC Championship game, and the 2010 team won the Super Bowl. 7 of the 10 had winning records. Only 3 of the 10 had a 500 record or worse, and 2 of the teams that didn't make the playoffs were 1 game out, that being 1984 and 2000. When the Packers only win 1 preseason game, it's happened 11 times since 1978. Only 2 of the 11 made the playoffs. Only 1 reached the divisional round, and the one that did was the 1993 Packers, who had that thrilling victory at Detroit. But the 2 teams that made the playoffs were the 9-7 1993 team and the 10-6 2004 team. So 2 of the weaker playoff teams in Packers history. Only 4 of the 11 had winning records. 7 of the 11 were 500 or worse, and one that was above 500 was only 8-7-1 in 1978. And the Packers have only had a winless preseason twice since 1978. 1980, they went 0-4-1 in the preseason, finished 5-10-1, and in 1987, they were 0-4 and finished 5-9-1 in the regular season. And here's some key numbers to keep in mind. When the Packers win 3 preseason games, they average 10.45 regular season wins. When they win 2 games, they average 9.04 regular season wins. And when they win once, they average 7.3 regular season wins. So some interesting facts. Perhaps doesn't mean anything for this particular team, but certainly looks like the pretty strong trend is the more you win in the preseason, the more you win in the regular season.
Yeah, that's very interesting. And, you know, you almost don't expect that to be so equally correlated between each one and how good the team has been. I'm sure you'd probably find pretty similar trends for most of the other teams around the league, too, in their histories. Stats like this, I don't know, it's kind of hard because the team from 1978 obviously is much different than the team from today, so you don't know how this team's going to react differently to, some of the poor teams that have been in the preseason before. But yeah, you expect a team who's good to at least win a couple of preseason games. You don't expect a team like this team, which people, before the season were expecting to go, maybe 12-4, 13-3, something like that, to go winless in the preseason and just get destroyed by the Browns and
Well, so the Browns were pretty close to the Super Bowl last year because Indianapolis is only about 200 miles away, so it's about as close as Cleveland will ever get to the Super Bowl, I would think.
Yeah, so I mean, it kind of surprised me, like I said, how evenly correlated those numbers are, but I guess it's not surprising. I mean, maybe this team can still win a couple games. And I don't think if they go 0-4 even this preseason, they're probably going to go 5-11 or anything like that. But maybe it is more of a precursor than we might have initially thought.
Yeah, it just seems like a little bit of a troubling trend, especially considering that all of your power teams have at least 2 or 3 wins. Some of your 3-win Packer teams are 94, 95, 96, 12-4 in 2002, 09, 2011. Those all won 3 preseason games. And even your 2 preseason games are 98, 2001, 2003, 2007, and 2010. So, I mean, all of your best Packer teams from this era we're talking about have won 2 or 3 preseason games.
Yeah.
And one real quick number I had too, I did go and take a look at the NFL numbers. I could only find them back as far as 2002. 95 of the 120 teams to make the playoffs since 2002 have won at least 2 preseason games.
Wow.
That's 79%. So let's keep Aaron Rodgers in for both of the next 2 games.
Yeah, no kidding.
Well, I guess they're going to have to go on the road against a playoff caliber team to do that. And I don't know if you've noticed this, Matt, but the Cincinnati Bengals have been a real thorn in the Packers' side in recent years. In fact, the Green Bay Packers have not defeated the Cincinnati Bengals in any game, regular season or preseason, since 1998.
Wow.
They lost to them in the 2005 regular season in that awesome Brett Favre game where he threw 4 interceptions on 4 straight drives in a 1-touchdown game. They lost to the 2006 preseason 48-17. They lost in the 2008 preseason in Aaron Rodgers' first start of any kind. And then in the 2009 regular season, they lost 31-24 when Aaron Rodgers got sacked about, I think it was 421 times.
Yeah, you don't expect to hear a stat about the Bengals like that for a team, for the Packers not to have beaten them recently, but yeah, that 2005 game with Favre was just awful. So,
well, he was just having fun out there. Didn't you have a lot of fun seeing him run like 30 yards downfield when the chance to throw a Hail Mary and then underhand it to Bubba Franks and then?
Yeah, I didn't have any fun watching the old gunslinger that game. So, but not that this is any consolation, but hopefully we can take out the Bengals this week. This third preseason game is obviously the one that means anything, as opposed to any of the other ones. So I would like to see a lot more this week, hopefully, than we've seen.